Hey guys, back again with another video. Yeah, I've been cranking out the videos lately. I've been finishing a lot of games, including this one, Yoshi's Woolly World for the Wii U. And this is a game that I originally wasn't even going to get. I had it pre-ordered for a significant discount. Like, I got this game for 40 bucks, which I'm glad I only paid that. This is like $65 full price in Canada, which is, I think, a little steep for this game. It's not as bad in the States, but yeah, for $40, I thought it was a good price for this game. And the more reviews I read on this game and the more I looked at it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to keep the pre-order. It does look to be like a fairly fun game. And I got to say, this surprised me because I think this is a great game. I think it's a really fantastic platformer. Now, it's interesting because the Yoshi series, now, Yoshi's Island, it's no secret that that's one of my favorite games of all time. Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo. That game to me is a masterpiece. I think it's honestly like the best platformer ever made. And every single Yoshi game since has been either complete shit or mediocre. The DS one I thought had terrible level design and just had all these touchscreen gimmicks, and I hated the dual screen where like there was there was stuff you could miss in between the two screens, and it was just really awkward. What else was there? Yoshi's Story was fucking boring as shit and way too easy. Yoshi's New Island on the 3DS doesn't look very good. And it got middling reviews as well. And that was done by the same guys who did Yoshi's Island DS, which I didn't like, so I didn't even bother playing that one. So it's been disappointing to me because we've never really got a worthy successor to Yoshi's Island. Well, guess what? We finally did with this game here. Now, this game, no, it's not as good as Yoshi's Island. I'll flat out say that. And it's actually probably not even the best platform on the Wii U. I think I prefer Donkey Kong Country Returns, Tropical Freeze, and then Mario 3D World. I think I prefer over this. But yeah, a very enjoyable game. And it really surprised me because the developer, Goodfeel, they've done, what have they done? Kirby Epic Yarn, which... Like, I know that game has a lot of fans. That game put me to sleep. Like, I thought that was the most dull platformer ever. But, yeah, so that I didn't like very much. And then Wario Land Shake It on the Wii, which I never played. But I gotta say, this game really impressed me. I was really surprised. It's not perfect. There's some issues, which I'll cover in the gameplay part. But overall, I had quite a lot of fun with it. I got through it in 2 sittings. It's a pretty short game. It's only like 8 hours long. It's definitely longer if you want to get all the collectibles. But story, we don't even need to talk about the story. Like, who cares? Like, I can't Kamek and Bowser Jr. are up to no good, and I don't know. It's a Mario Nintendo platformer. The story is basically non-existent and doesn't really matter. The gameplay is where it's at. So we'll just dive right into the gameplay. And this is probably going to be a short review. It takes the Yoshi's Island formula. It doesn't stray too far from that. So it's like 6 worlds. I think 8 levels in each. And you have your standard bosses, and the bosses are the same way in Yoshi's Island, where it's like they take like a normal enemy and then like increase its size by a lot. But yeah, you're doing standard platforming through the levels. Now, in Yoshi's Island, you had Baby Mario, right? And every time you got hit, Baby Mario would be in a bubble and start crying, and you had to get Baby Mario back. That's not in this game. Instead, you have a classic health meter, which is, I think, a good change. Instead of eggs, you have yarn balls, which, yeah, like the visuals to this game, obviously, all the environments are like they're made out of wool, really. So instead of eggs, you have yarn balls that you can shoot with, like kind of like an aimer. You've got your flutter jump, which you can flutter jump as many times as you want in midair. It seems weird to say that I don't know exactly, but because like Yoshi's Island is one of my favorite games, but I don't think you could infinitely flutter jump in that game. Well, now that I think about it, you probably could. I feel like I should know that for sure, considering it's one of my favorite games. But yeah, infinite flutter jumps. And like with Yoshi's Island, this is somewhat of a puzzle platformer. There's a lot of puzzle solving in this game. The levels are really huge and a lot of them are open-ended. But there's also some platforming too. And right off the bat, one of the reasons why I like Yoshi's Island is because it's quite challenging to play through, and then it's like almost impossible if you want 100% it. And they've really kind of captured that with Woolly World, where playing through the game, I was really surprised by how challenging it was, especially towards the end. Like the last couple worlds are pretty devious. Just getting through them. You have infinite lives, which is fine. I don't mind that. Um, but yes, there's some nasty checkpoints too towards the end, and that surprised me. And that's I think what kept this game so enjoyable. That and the fact that the level design here is top notch from start to finish. Really creative. There's some levels that are kind of like they borrow gimmicks from Yoshi's Island, which I'm okay with that because Yoshi's Island had incredible level design. But all of the ideas they have here that aren't from Yoshi's Island are really cool. I don't really want to spoil any of it, but the levels are just really fun to play through, and like I said, surprisingly challenging, and have a lot of neat gimmicks. Now, there is a focus on collectibles in this game, and Yoshi's Island had a focus on collectibles too, and that's where like the real hardcore challenge of that game came from. And it's fun to try to get all the collectibles in the levels. There's I think a little bit too much, and this is kind of maybe one of my few complaints about Yoshi's Island, where you have like five yarn spool type things you have to collect, five star or flower star things. You have to end each level with 20 hearts, and then you have 20 stamps in each level. That's a lot of collectibles, and some of them are extremely difficult to find. And right off the bat, I was trying to 100% every level I came across. And around the beginning of World 2, I decided to stop because it was just becoming a pain in the ass for a few reasons. For one, if you collect a bunch of collectibles, and some of these are really actually quite difficult to get, and you die at any point, you fall down a pit or whatever, you go back to your last checkpoint, and all the collectibles are still there. You have to collect them all over again, and this completely broke me. It's what made me not want to 100% this game, and I probably never will 100% this game because it's just because of that design decision. And yeah, I don't know, like maybe they just wanted it to to feel a lot like the original Yoshi's Island, but I really think they should have made you keep the collectibles at any time you died. That's a huge bummer. It just makes getting all the collectibles such a pain in the ass. And there's a bunch of collectibles in this game where you can easily miss them. And there's some that you have to get immediately when you see them, and you can fail. You can not get it, and then immediately you're going to have to retry the level to get that collectible. And that to me is pretty poor design. So the way the collectibles are handled in this game, I gotta say, is disappointing. I really like. I don't know. It's just annoying. And not to say every level is good. There's actually one level in this game, in the last world, that I thought was just irritating as fuck. Where it was like puzzle solving to the extreme. It was really tedious and slow going. Anytime the game gets really into the puzzle solving, that's when I like it the least. So yeah, the way they handle collectibles I thought was lame. There's also like the normal mode is quite challenging, but there's also a mellow mode you can do where I think you get like wings where you can like fly or something. I don't know. I didn't try the mellow mode, but if you want like a really easy time, you can select that, and that's completely optional, which is good. There's also like different power-ups you can get. You can get like badges, like you can get gems throughout the levels. You can spend those gems to get badges for levels. So one badge might protect you from fire attacks, which is very useful in some of the boss battles. Which, speaking of boss battles, I've based on some reviews I've read, a lot of people weren't too crazy about the boss battles in this game. I actually liked them. That said, they all kind of follow the same formula. I don't really want to spoil it, but I think the bosses in the original Yoshi's Island were a lot more creative from boss to boss, where in this game you're actually fighting the same bosses over and over again, just their fights play out a little differently each time. But that said, I still thought the boss battles were actually pretty fun. So yeah, I don't really understand the hate for the boss battles that I saw in a lot of the reviews. In fact, the reviews in general for this game have been lower than I expected. I think it's sitting at like a 78 Metacritic rating right now, which, that's probably about right. But I don't know. There's some reviews that just in the mainstream media that just like hated like either well I don't want to say hated but thought this game was like boring and easy, which that surprises me. Like I don't think this game's easy at all. I don't think playing through it normally is like difficult, but it's it's a healthy challenge I think, especially the second half of the game. Um, yeah, gameplay wise, I mean, that about covers it. If you've played Yoshi's Island and you loved Yoshi's Island, I think there's a good chance you'll love this. I guess another thing too, because all the environments are made out of wool, you have some cool mechanics utilizing wool where you can kind of it's a bit hard to describe, but you use Yoshi's tongue to kind of unravel parts of the environment. I thought that was really cool too. And like, I guess we'll just move on to the visuals. This game looks fantastic. The all the environments look absolutely stunning. I love. It's just a great looking game. It runs at 60 frames per second. It's very smooth. The controls are tight. I mean, the controls are perfect in this game. Anytime I died, I never felt it was because of the controls. Um, yeah, it's the game. I'll admit I hate using this word, but there's no other word to describe how this game looks. The word cute. Even just saying that, but yeah, a really pleasant looking game. Might be one of the best looking games on the Wii U. Although actually sometimes the frame rate did drop when like a bunch of enemies were on screen, which I found kind of weird. It kind of surprised me honestly. Um, Audio wise, you've got a lot of the Yoshi sound effects that I think a lot of people find annoying whenever he's doing like the sputtering jump and things like that. Some people might find that annoying, and actually sometimes it did kind of annoy me. More so than the original Yoshi's Island for some reason. I don't know why that is exactly, but music, the soundtrack. Okay, one of the big reasons why I don't like a lot of these Yoshi's Island sequels is that the music is always terrible. Yoshi's Island DS had awful music. Yoshi's Story had terrible music, and that 3DS game, oh my god, the music I've heard from that game is fucking atrocious. Like it's unbelievably bad, and the music here is actually amazing. It's incredible. That said, it's a very different soundtrack than the original. The soundtrack in this game it's bizarre. It's like it's a lot of it's like really relaxed, kind of slow going music, but at the same time, it's really catchy. Some of the music's kind of jazzy. There's a few songs that are kind of like epic sounding, but it's a very weird soundtrack. But it fits the game. It fits the game quite well. I gotta say that the soundtrack is probably one of the biggest surprises with this game. Especially just hearing all the other Yoshi games and how terrible their soundtracks were. It was great to have this game to have like an amazing soundtrack. I guess other gameplay things like there's amiibo support. I don't know. You like tap your amiibo and you can get like costumes for your Yoshis or whatever. I don't know. I still haven't bought an amiibo. I'm probably one of the few people that own a Wii U that have or and 3DS that has not bought a single amiibo. I don't know. I just do not get the appeal in amiibos. There's co-op. I totally forgot about the co-op. If you have a friend that you want to play with, you can do that too. I didn't get the chance to test out co-op. Don't really have anyone to play with, but yeah, I'm sure the co-op's probably pretty fun too. There's like a world map too of sorts. There's nothing to do on the world map really. You're just kind of going from level to level, but still, it's a nice touch. I like the attention to detail there. There's like a boss rush mode too, I think. But other than that, I think that about covers it. It's a short game, admittedly, if you're just planning to play through it like I did. It probably only took me like 8 hours. But if you go for all the collectibles, not only is it going to really challenge you, although honestly, I think it would be just way too frustrating with my problems with how the collectibles are handled. But yeah, it would probably be like 20 plus hours if you wanted to master it. There's bonus levels you can unlock by getting all the flower power-ups or whatever those things are called in the levels, but I might go back and try to unlock some of those bonus levels. Apparently those levels are the really challenging ones, similar to how Yoshi's Island is, but yeah, being that about covers it. Yeah, really fantastic. Well, I don't want to say fantastic. I'll say this is a great game. It has its issues, and I think for full price, it's a bit harder to recommend for how short it is, especially if you're like me and don't really want to go for all the collectibles. But this is a Nintendo first-party game. This game is not going to drop in price. It's going to be full price for years and years and years, unfortunately. So I don't know. I'd probably recommend this first and foremost if you're a big fan of Yoshi's Island, and really if you're into platformers in general, especially platformers that have some more puzzle solving and a bit of more of a focus on collectibles. If you're not into platformers or Yoshi's Island, I'd say this is probably worth a skip though. But yeah, a pleasant surprise. I definitely was not expecting to enjoy this near as much as I did. And finally, a worthy successor to Yoshi's Island, and I'm certainly interested to see what Goodfield does next. So that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.